Welcome guys, glad you joined us today. We're going to be reviewing quickly some consecutive integers. Of course, by consecutive integers, I'm talking about integers that are in order. And here's a few examples of them. You got your simple basic 1, 2, 3, 18, 19, 20, negative 6, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5. These are all integers that are in order. Notice one thing about them, no matter what they are, is the change in each of those is always a change of ones. There's a plus 1 in between these two. There's a plus 1 in between the first and the second. There's a plus 1 in between the first and the second on these. And because of that, I can generalize an equation for that, which tells me that any number that is first, the next number is going to be 1 above it. Each of these are 1 above it. And then I can continue that pattern, n plus 1, n plus 2, n plus 3, etc. So today's assignment, I've got you looking at 10 problems. I'm going to help you with a couple of them to start with. So as we look here at the beginning, the first thing I want to notice is I am going to do consecutive integers. It says find 3 consecutive integers whose sum is 126. Okay? Remind myself of what I just had before of the n plus 1, and the n plus 2. That is the pattern that I'll be using. Okay? So find 3 consecutive integers whose sum is 126. Well, for an organized list, I need 3 integers. So my first integer would be n. The next one would be n plus 1. And the next one, n plus 2. So there's my 3 consecutive integers. Now, as I write this out, I want to know the equation whose sum, of course, sum means to add, right? Whose sum is 126. So as an equation, I'm just going to put those 3 integers together and make it the sum of 126. At this point, I just use my algebra skills, and I can add n plus n plus n. I've got 3n plus 3 equals 126. I now know that if I subtract 3 from both sides, that 3n equals 123. And if I divide by 3, that my n will have to equal 41. So n is going to be 41. Now remember, that n is right here. So my answers are 41, 42, and 43. 41, 42, and 43. All right. Problems 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all very, very similar to this, if you can just follow along this same pattern. Now sometimes you're going to get problems where they ask you to find consecutive even or consecutive odd integers. I've given you 2 examples here of even and odd. Of course, on the left side, the even numbers, 6, 8, and 10, right? I could talk about 22, 24, 26, right? Or even negative numbers. If I went with, let's say, negative 12, negative 10, negative 8. Notice how those descend, right? Because I'm going up. Same thing over on this side with odd numbers. Odd numbers are like 1, 3, 5, 7. So 13, 15, 17, 21, 23, 25. And again, if I wanted to use some odd numbers, how about negative 19, negative 17, negative 15. Notice on each of these, as before I looked at the difference, each of these are changing by 2. And it's actually true whether you're even or odd. Okay? And that allows me to generalize my rule that any number n, the next number following it is going to be 2 more than that. See how each of these are 2 more? And the next number that would be 2 more than that. So 2 plus 2 would be 4. And you can see the pattern generalized from there. Okay, with that in mind, we're going to try the backside, which asks us to find 2 consecutive even integers. So an organized list, I'm going to remember that it's even integers, so that's my plus 2. So I've got n for my first number and n plus 2 for my second number. So an equation whose sum is n plus 2, again, I'm talking about a sum, So the sum is going to be n plus 2, that's the first two numbers, to equal 118. Put your like terms together. You've got 2n plus 2 equals 118. If you subtract 2 from both sides, 2n is going to equal 116. Now I've run out of room a little bit, but if I divide by 2 on both sides, I will get n is equal to 58. So if n is equal to 58, then that's this number here, 58. So the next number has to be 60. So my two numbers are 58 and 60. The rest of these problems work very similar. If you will check them out, just make an organized list, write your equation, and find out your sum. Thank you.